Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pearson Alumni Center. Thank you for all coming. Hopefully, no one's overly bumped unless they want to attend a geological survey or something or other meeting. So yeah, thanks for accommodating coming over here. Let's do some roll call.
Blau, here. Dolly, here. Guthrie, here. Perone,
Here.
Camera, here. Kiefer,
Here.
Marshall,
Here.
McBride,
Present.
Novel,
Present.
Payne, Russell,
Here.
Schumann, here. Spillman,
Here.
Vasquez, here. Light,
Here.
Seymour, here. DeLong,
Here.
Manis,
Here.
Emery, Hopkins,
Here.
Morrison,
Present.
Simpleman, here. Wilbur, here. Kluver,
Here.
Cool. Wonderful. We got quorum. Nice. And I don't believe there are any proxies, so we're good with that. Approval of the agenda. You guys have an updated agenda in front of you on a piece of paper. We have extra agendas we give these. And I think there's
I have a stack of agendas right here.
Okay, here's the agenda.
Please.
Any updates or comments on the agenda? Okay, Ryan, second block. I got one. Okay, Senator Russell.
Would resolution 19F008 still be in new business since we amended it? We'll not be voting on that today.
You're saying that instead of unfinished business, we should put it in new business.
Yeah, it's still being unfinished. Okay. Just make sure.
Okay, yeah, so we'll put that unfinished comment. Other comments or questions about the agenda? Okay, if not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the agenda.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve the agenda. Senator Guthrie, seconded. Okay, all those in favor of approving the agenda as it is, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, excellent. We approve the agenda. Approval of the minutes. So you guys all got an email of the minutes from last week. Any comments or questions on any of that? Senator Novel.
Last part on adjournment, part A, it's written Senator Lightford instead of Kiefer.
Okay. We will update that. Okay. Other comments? Yeah, I would switch that. Other comments on the minutes from last week? Senator McBride.
Move to approve the minutes with that amendment.
Okay, motion to approve that, seconded by Senator Seymour. All those in favor of approving the minutes from last week with that small adjustment, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, excellent, that passes with that little adjustment. So now we are pleased to welcome our open floor guests. We have, I believe, two of the three clubs represented here. We're going to have them talk about what the new club's going to be. Then later on in the day, we'll talk about resolutions for actually making those clubs a thing. So with that, who is representing the Clientele City? Alright, so we're going to skip that for now and move on to Magic the Gathering Club, the Magic the Gathering people. And before you present, we can go, we just go do it. Okay, yeah.
One of their guys is in the bathroom.
No, he's grabbing the other guy.
Oh, he's grabbing the other guy.
So we've
Okay.
got all
Okay.
Okay.
We want to do fly fishing first.
Yeah, sure, good. Is fly fishing ready to go? Okay, let's skip to the bottom. We're going in reverse order. And when we pass along the candy, fly with it. It's loud, thank you. So yeah, fly fishing. The floor is yours. Give us a presentation on what your organization would all be about. Good.
You're gonna have to tell me when you want me to hit the net.
Okay. Kind of an awkward room here. Okay. All right. Well, this is Ian Caston, Ira Murphy. My name is Matthew Dietz, and today we're going to show you guys what the Fly Fishing Club's all about. So, first thing that we really want to iterate is that this is not a typical engineering club. I mean, it doesn't really have anything to do with mathematics, or doesn't have to do anything with school really. It's just kind of an escape towards relaxation, I guess. And there's not really one at the school, so or not really one in this area really, because Black Hills doesn't have one either. So that'd be kind of unique to be able to start that and begin a new series of clubs. And then it provides different learning opportunities, not just in fly fishing, but it provides opportunities on how to cope with different kinds of stresses, and provides opportunities on making friendships and that carry on longer than just school.
Alright, so I'm going to talk a little bit on why we chose fly fishing. So one of the main reasons we all chose fly fishing is, as the title says, just our passion for it. I mean, we're all avid outdoorsmen, we're all really good fishing buddies, and we found that this would be a great way to bring our knowledge and the fun that we have into the school, or into our school culture. And some of the ways that we kind of plan on doing that, and I guess part of the reason why we did choose fly fishing is because we feel like this school, it has such a horrible stigma of, you know, engineers sitting in there doing homework for like 8 hours on end inside. We just want to bring an opportunity for some of the students to come outside with us and go hiking and just enjoy nature and just enjoy the passion, or share the passion that we all have. And one of the other really big reasons we kind of chose it is we feel like there aren't really a lot of conservation, or at least conservation and natural resource clubs here on campus. And we found that, you know, or not that we find, but we think that this club could introduce a fun form of conservation through catch and release fishing.
Okay, so right now we have a total of 32 members, 2 freshmen, 6 sophomores, 16 juniors, 8 seniors and grads. This is all done word of mouth. We haven't really done any recruiting or anything. It's just people, you know, say, what's up, you want to join the fly fishing club? Like, yeah, sure, so we can invite them to our next meeting and such. But we're going to try to do a lot more recruiting next spring. Definitely bump the numbers up for the freshmen and sophomores. As I said, it's mostly word of mouth, and I guess freshmen aren't too talkative. So we're going to change that. So some of our requirements for membership, we're going to plan on holding 2 mandatory meetings every semester, one at the beginning, one at the end, kind of just like a opening and a closing meeting where we can kind of make sure everyone has like their own fishing license and such, and they know the proper techniques and make sure no one gets hurt. So some of our community outreach projects, we've already done one so far. That's with Minds Buddies, and that was with helping out people with special needs be able to learn and love fly fishing like we do. Other opportunities we have, there's a fly fishing club in Rapid City, and they do river and lake cleanups around Rapid City and around the Black Hills area, and we can possibly join up with them and begin to help them clean up our environment more than it needs to be. There's also a free fishing day in South Dakota. There's always one, at least, that they offer. And these days, we can go out and help people who normally wouldn't be able to afford a pass or normally wouldn't even think about fly fishing. We can help them be able to share the love. And then I know in the middle schools, for the Rapid City Area School District, they have a day called Natural High Day. And this is where they just get the students out to enjoy oh, that's literally they try to show students what life is like without drugs, and so they get students out of school for a day. They invite them to go down to Flags and Wheels, different amusement parks, and one of the opportunities that we could do is we could take a group of students out and go fly fishing with them on that day, and just help them, I guess, how to be naturally high.
Alright, so what we're thinking for fundraising right now, depending on how much we do end up fundraising over this next year, we are considering for applying for soap. Some of the different ways we kind of plan on fundraising right now is through donations and through community events. So like holding local fish fries. I know I have up here at work hosted seminars. So we could go and have either other organizations come in and we could teach them for like a team bonding opportunity, how the tie flies or how to cast. And I would like to say this isn't just limited to our school. This could be any outside company just wanting to get out for a day or take their employees out. But, yep.
So a rough cost estimate, this is $200 per member, and this is as needed. So roughly about half of our members right now don't have gear. So one of the things that we want to focus on as a club is making sure everyone can get gear. And being in college, I mean, we all don't have that much money, some more than others, but some of this stuff can be pretty expensive, and things such as the waders, boots, rods, and rails, those things can kind of be recycled throughout the years. So it's kind of like an initial investment too in getting the stuff for long term, and then having the club members reuse them and check out gear and return it. So that being said, all the gear will be kept within the club. Plan on storing it at one of our members' houses. And yeah, one other thing, fishing licenses. So as a club, we're not planning on paying for any of the members' fishing licenses. But we will help them. As I said, we are having 2 mandatory meetings every semester, and that's going to be one of the things. To make sure everyone has a fishing license, everyone knows how to do it, and also everyone knows how to make sure you're paying the in-state price and not the out-of-state price, because that's a very big difference. So yeah, that's all we got. You guys got any questions?
So have you guys had a meeting yet?
Yeah, so last spring we held 5 meetings. Yeah, we held 5 meetings last spring, and that's we kind of just talked about our constitution, what we're going to stand for, and how we're going to fundraise and stuff like that. Sorry.
Of those 32 members, how many attended, like, roughly those 5 meetings?
We had about some of the meetings it was only like 5, and other meetings it was like 20. It's kind of dependent on how early we let people know, and generally we send out what's going to be talked about in the meeting too, and we post all of our meeting notes. We have a Google Drive as a club, so if anyone misses meetings, we put them on there too. Senator Dolly.
Do you have a faculty advisor?
Yes, we forgot to add that in there, but Kyle Cottle from the math department, and then we're also looking into our football coach, Iron Ice football coach, Neil Linhart.
Senator Seymour.
What are you going to do to guarantee that people who are members of this club are safe while participating in the activities?
Well, one of the things we're going to do is make sure that when we go out fishing as a club, especially for new members, that we're all together to start. So I know there's kind of dangers when it comes to, walking around at night when the sun's starting to set with wild animals coming out. I've been trapped up in the hills with bears and such a few times, but I'm laughing here. So that's another thing that we're going to try to do in our meetings too, is go over a rough safety evaluation of, there's tiny little hooks, as you can see here. The things we use aren't very big. I was a fly fishing guide up in Estes Park, and the worst thing that ever had happened was this girl got a hook in her cheek like 5 times within 5 minutes. But she didn't want to do anything after that, so she kind of just sat and watched everybody.
Well, could I add on that as well, by chance? So one of the things that we could also do too is a lot of the fundamentals of how to fly fish can be taught without actually needing a hook attached. So we could do like a couple of dry seminars for our first couple of meetings where there's no hook, and we just teach people how to cast, and at that point really it's just distance, because it's just your line going back and forth. That'd be the only real danger. So.
Senator Brewer.
You said that the club was like a catch and release based one. You also said you were planning on doing a fish fry. Are you going to buy the fish or?
So with the catch and release, we want to teach proper catch and release so that when you're out there fishing for sport, you're not just killing fish and then either letting them float in the water or having to bury them in mud. Don't quote me on that. So we want to make sure that people know how to do it properly so that we're not just wasting away all this precious stocked fish up here in the Black Hills.
Senator Mark.
What do you guys have as far as like a safety waiver? I know all this is gonna be happening off campus, but still.
Well,
I think I think you guys might want to talk to the ski club.
What dangers do you think? Because I've tried to think about this, but I'm super biased, and I don't think it's a dangerous call. But
even on the lines of how do I put it? I guess right. Maybe help if you're coming up with this.
I can add that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Would you guys be willing to institute a liability?
Yes, we would. Yes, we would.
Oh, are you-
Oh, no, it's,
so what are your plans for like the longevity of the club as far as like the transitions once like all the juniors and seniors graduate? Since like there aren't a ton of freshmen like you pointed out, like how do you plan on passing down the information and like the year and stuff like that?
So I mean, through time there'll be new executive officers that step up, and we kind of want to create the atmosphere as a club where everyone's kind of really close to each other, so that when certain members leave, the kind of spirit of the club stays behind. So.
Oh, Senator Vasquez.
Have you brainstormed any possible locations on campus you can store your gear, just by chance?
No, I have not looked into that too much. I think someone had mentioned that we might have lockers here. I'm not so sure if that's actually a thing, so.
I'll just for looking into the future, say you have a year where membership really wanes and you still have all this nice gear. See if theoretically nobody has a house, it'd be kind of nice to just have like a plan B here on campus to kind of keep things safe. So.
Okay. Senator Mark.
Going out those lockers thing, there are lockers in basically the rec room in Surbeck. Those are for commuter students. They may be going away, possibly, I don't know, or getting better advertised for commuter students. I don't think that would be the best option for that. Just kind of sticking out there.
As far as self-funding, as you were talking about how you would work with, like let other outside organizations come and would they be working with you or would they be just borrowing the equipment? Would you be charging a fee to borrow the stuff or how do you look at that? I mean, I don't know if that's even.
So you were saying,
yeah, no, I can. I was gonna say, my envision for that is, BH right now, they don't have a fly fishing club per se on campus, but they offer for the organizations within BH to pay like $15 a member to come out and go on like fly fishing excursions or to learn how to like tie flies or learn how to cast or like the basics, you know. So I guess that's kind of what I was envisioning. It's something more of like it's a group and you pay per person for a set excursion, whether it's here on campus or off campus.
Okay.
But this is just kind of in the brainstorming phase.
Okay, yeah, I just add that as for soap is to be used for students in the school only, and so if they're paying a fee or the group itself is like, hey, we're gonna pay you this much to borrow your stuff and whatever it costs for the fly material, for what you're gonna use for that day, if that's the case, then it's fine, so.
Senator Seymour.
I would suggest that you all work with Game Fish and Parks and their outdoor campus to see what they have in terms of liability paperwork that participants in their programming are required, just as to make sure all of your bases are covered.
Other comments or questions? Senator Vasquez.
Just to add to that liability waiver, I think there's one available online for student orgs, if I remember correctly. So that'd be something to just kind of keep it in your back pocket.
is that like a generalized form for all clubs?
I
Or
think it is.
So basically you just kind of fill in, I think this
Senator
is,
Marshall.
so yeah, sorry about that. It's a release and waiver of liability, assumption of risk, and basically it looks something like this, and you basically just fill out the activity that you were, I guess, doing. And then,
how often are those required?
Is
Is it per
I'm
semester,
thinking
per
annually.
year,
I'm thinking annually.
or is it a one-time thing?
I think actually one-time thing, what I'm seeing on here, but it's always good to like I guess review. But as far as like the actual waiver, it's a one-time thing. And if it's someone under 18, they need to have their parents. Yeah, if they're a minor, they need to have their parents sign.
CFO last.
I think to end this waiver discussion, that they just don't want, we don't want you to get involved in, I don't know if it, like you said,
I get that.
really is a guy.
I get that.
Yeah, so. I'm sorry, Midwestern terms.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly. So, just don't want, we just want to cover the base on all student loans because if we can figure that out, then we don't have to worry about legal things again. If, like I said, if anything happens, I've had to hook through myself as well. I don't think anyone's gonna get upset. So.
Other comments on this? Okay, Senator Blau.
overall, this looks like a great club. It reminds students outdoors, which is a feat in itself, so.
Other comments?
I would think about collaborating with the outdoor living pursuit communities in Peterson, because you probably can get a lot of students that way. Because I know I live in one, and there's a lot of freshmen, boys and girls that are interested in fly fishing. So that might be a good way to connect. So maybe contact one of the RAs, and you could probably get at least 15 freshmen. So
Could you repeat what that was again? The
outdoor living pursuit communities.
okay.
So right now the RAs is like Hans and then Travis Kleinfosser.
That's like.
Yeah.
Other discussion? Questions or not? Any last words from you guys?
I guess just thank you guys for hearing our presentation here. We really appreciate it. And we hope that we could enlighten you a little bit on our passion and why we wanted to start it up.
Cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, so I guess next thing we'll move on to a different club. Later we'll be working on voting on a resolution for you guys. Later in the meeting. I mean, you guys are free to go. You're free to stay, chill if you want. But you're free to go, I think. Yep. All right, thanks for coming.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, so next we have the Magic Gathering ready to go. Thank you. Alright, so next we got Magic Gathering in here. If you guys would tell us a little bit about Magic Gathering, tell us about your proposed club. Floor is yours.
Hello, I'm Daniel, this is Cole, and this is Andrew. I'm the president, this is treasurer and vice president. First off, how many of you know about Magic the Gathering, like what it is? So about most of you. Well, for those of you who don't, it's a kind of a trading card game. It's kind of like Pokemon, but a little bit more complex. Then why we think that it should be on campus is there are many people here who play Magic the Gathering, and they don't have a play group to play with. It's a great way to meet new friends. It's a great way to relieve stress and worries of school. And then, there's a club that's near it. It's tabletop gaming. We think that this one's different because it's mostly focused on Magic the Gathering and not any of the others. Because tabletop gaming, it works on all of the board games and other card games. This one's going to be solely focused on Magic the Gathering.
Alright, so our current goals and plans for the club, we're currently planning on meeting every Wednesday at 6 p.m. actually. And we're thinking about 4 meetings per month. The first 3 will just be general, like casual gaming for Magic. And then the 4th meeting each month will have a tournament and special events such as draft tournament or a cube. And then if you would advance the slide. As far as financing goes, we don't really need much funding because we're just playing games of Magic. The only money that would need to be put in here would be for like prize packs or maybe spare decks for students who don't have one. But that's like the packs are covered with tournament entry fees. We were thinking about $2 per person for entering the tournament. And we need 3 to 5 packs for prizes. The math works out. Trust me. So the tournaments are optional. We're just gaming basically. And yeah, so for the drafts, that's a little bit different than tournament. Everyone has to bring their own packs, but basically we don't need any money. That's the gist of this.
So one of the nice things about Magic is that there's a lot of different ways to play. You can kind of customize your own play experience, and we really wanted to engender a community where you could play how you want to, and you could interact with other people who want to play the same way. Because if you go to a card shop or some other kind of game store, a lot of the time they have set ways that they play, and you get your Friday Night Magic, they play the same format every single time, but we want to provide some variety and diversity and a more casual setting for the people who show up. We have a lot of different decks for a lot of different formats, and we want to kind of spread some of the more obscure ones. As of right now, we have a lot of sophomore support and some freshmen and juniors. We're looking to get more seniors interested in it, and of course, more people in general. 16 people isn't a whole lot, and I would love to see the community grow a little bit more as more Mind students get involved in Magic. That's pretty much all we have. Does anybody have any questions?
Cool. We got 4 questions. Senator Vasquez.
Do you have a faculty advisor?
Yes, we have Dr. Kreml.
Senator Block.
Would you have like a deck building day for dummies or something along those
Oh yeah,
lines?
we can have plenty of resources for people starting out, people who want information on how to build a deck. We've got a lot of very enfranchised players who would be more than willing to help out, people who are less in tune with the game.
We're also planning on having pre-built decks, so you wouldn't have to know how to build a deck at all to come and play with a competitive deck that can hold up to more veteran players.
Other questions? Senator Kruger.
So I know there's a shop here in town that does stuff like that. Are you planning on working with them maybe to get like some sort of, I guess, either like a discount or like maybe have them like fund you guys? I don't really know. Or like even just going there for your tournaments to go and play, because I know they have a lot of extra space.
Yeah, that's something we haven't discussed much, but it's definitely a possibility. People who play Magic tend to support other people who play Magic, so it would certainly be worth looking into a little bit more than we have.
I will say the biggest issue with that is they have a lot of their own events, so it would just be conflict with when we could meet and when they're already having events. So we'd have to keep that in mind.
Other questions, discussion? Senator Russell.
You mentioned tabletop gaming, and what was kind of the reason why you didn't want to stay underneath them or get a part of being that group and make a little sub area for you guys?
The biggest reason is that they don't really have a lot of people that play Magic there. There's some, for sure, but it's not really. It's not enough that you can go there and expect to play Magic all for the whole time. It's probably just like a few games and you're done. Here, we're focused solely on Magic, and we'd have the support where, if you completely new, don't know anything, you just heard Magic seems cool, you can come and get a deck, and we'll support you and you can teach you and you can play. Tabletop gaming, well, I'm sure they're very nice people. They maybe wouldn't be able to provide you with a pre-built deck that you could come as a player.
Additionally, Magic is something that we're all passionate about, and it's a fairly specific hobby. It's kind of a subset of tabletop gaming, but we think it would be worth having a place where you can go and know that you can connect with these people on a lifestyle hobby like Magic, as opposed to a separate hobby like tabletop gaming, which has Magic elements. I'm sure people there play Magic as well. But having a place where you can specifically connect with a community around this game is something that we'd like to see.
Just one follow-up.
Yep, sorry, Russell.
Have you approached the president, vice president of tabletop gaming and just talked to them?
We talked to them via email, and they're okay with us starting. They actually recommended that we get it started because they like the idea of it. And also we have a different date for meetings. So they're on Fridays, we're on Wednesdays, so we don't interrupt anything that would, any people that would conflict with going to either one.
More gaming is better, right?
Senator Schumer.
So what's your plan for the longevity of your organization? Like, as far as like when you all graduate and you have all of your decks and stuff you take with you, how does that work if the club doesn't have any of those? And like, how do you plan on doing that?
I'm sure that many of us would be willing to donate a couple of decks, like some of the starter decks that we have. And if we're teaching people, we're not quite guaranteed, but pretty close, that some people coming in are going to have their own decks and know how to play and be willing to teach others.
And off of the decks, we are planning on buying decks that are specifically for the club, specifically for people who are new. And so those would just stay with the club. None of us would be planning on taking them anywhere. The only issue would be having a place to store them. They don't take up much room, so that is what it is on this.
Other comments or discussion? Questions for these guys? If not, thank you guys for coming in. Next up we got Pi Tau Sigma. Dan, if you could tell us a little bit about Pi Tau Sigma, the club, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
No, just got it on this computer.
We need to explain it. What do you guys think of the snacks today? Are they better than usual?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're welcome. That was me. Hey, Rosie. I'm now in charge of snacks, so I will take suggestions.
Vegan snacks.
Make the day after.
Like to
Vegan snack.
Vegan snacks? Are those not vegan?
I don't think that.
The Jolly Ranchers are?
Alright, so the moral of the story is Seattle's better than mandating snacks, alright? Well, here's Mr. Daniel Bell. The floor is yours.
Alright. So I am, as he said, my name is Daniel Bow. I am a first-year master's student in mechanical engineering, and I'm going to be talking about Pi Tau Sigma. So, Pi Tau Sigma is the Mechanical Engineering Honor Society. So it's an international society. They've been around for just over 100 years now, and several different countries. And so we had a chapter here at School of Mines, and it started back in the 80s, and it's been dormant for the past decade or so. That's talking to Dr. Dolan, who's been around long enough. That's about where he placed it at. So they used to be fairly active, but they haven't done anything in quite a while now. So Dr. LaRochelle, our new department head, he is a Pi Tau Sigma member. So back when he was in undergrad and grad school, he was involved in this organization, and so he saw our chapter was dormant, and he encouraged faculty and students to try to get it up and running again. And so this was last fall. Dr. Nicholas Bruno works with Dr. LaRochelle to get it up and running. He volunteered to be the faculty advisor, and then he got the ball rolling and brought a few of us eligible students in, and we've been working on to getting this organization up and running since then. So, just a few notes about Pi Tau Sigma. It's, as I said, an honor society strictly for mechanical engineering, which I would note, I think is very important that our school currently does not have an honor society for mechanical engineers. It's the largest department on campus. We have almost 600, including faculty, grad students, and undergrads, and we don't have a specific honor society directly for us. So I think that that's very, very important that we represent that. And here you can see the core values. This is most honor society. We've got a few key ones here: integrity, service, and leadership. And obviously, integrity. Looking at just the overall moral compass of these students, are looking for strong students, strong in academics, and strong in their beliefs and who have a set of guidelines that they follow in their life. And the goal of the organization is to find students who have those abilities and those qualities, and then help them develop those while they're in school and then as they continue on in the profession. Service and leadership, those are kind of key elements while we're in school, while we're in here, and let's say service for us as a group. I'll get on a little bit further on, but we would really like to give back to our department. That's kind of the driving focus of this organization, is service within any department. So that's its focus is on mechanical engineering, by mechanical engineers and for mechanical engineers, and also the leadership. I think that's a big thing to be developing while in school, is this gives students an opportunity to try out some leadership roles and maybe push their comfort zone a little bit and get out and do some things like that. And so here, this key, this is the pi tau sigma key. This is kind of the important part of the initiation. Every member gets one of these. It has some symbolism here. We've got a beam that illustrates dependability, and then Carnot cycle. We have a nice PV diagram. Any mechanical engineer should appreciate that. PV diagram that demonstrates efficiency. It's another goal of the organization. And then we have a flaming torch. This, I mean, to be honest, this torch, it looks like it. It looks okay on here, but when you actually have this bronze key with this torch, like, nobody knew what it actually was. But anyways, it symbolizes intelligence, and I misspelled it, so it's not good. But it symbolizes intelligence, and I also think a good part of that is it kind of illustrates, holding the torch. As mechanical engineers in school right now, it's kind of our job to, lift up our profession, and while we are kind of I would say the next generation in engineering, and so it's important we hold that torch, and then someday we'll pass it on to the others. So that's kind of what I see in there as well, that they have. So then that's kind of the values of the organization as a whole, and then looking at our specific chapter here at School of Mines, which our chapter would be entitled the South Dakota Phi Alpha chapter. And so as I said, we've already elected elected the officers and had a few meetings just to get things going, and come up with a statement of purpose right here. To promote academic, professional excellence through dedicated service and exemplary leadership in mechanical engineering. So as I said before, our goal is really to have an impact on our department and to help other students and to be there for our fellow mechanical engineers. And I feel this statement kind of sums that up and kind of couples right along with the goals of the organization as a whole. And so, what would enacting that statement of purpose and going through that, how would that look like as an organization? So what would we be doing to live out that purpose? And list here a few things. Something we'd really like to do would be hosting just some, you might call a seminar series of just skill set building workshops, or what we would be calling them. And this would primarily involve just Pi Tau Sigma members, and they would, whatever topic, they would have some topic of interest in, maybe, just decide side thing we'd like to work on, and this would be an opportunity for them to present that to the other students. And we really like this idea because it, once again, provides a platform, a way for students to talk about things they like, and also that provides good experience for them, and then also they get to share their ideas, which can be very helpful for other students. Like for me, I got really into data science when I was out on my internship. So for example, if I were to give a presentation, it would be something along with data science and mechanical engineering. And on top of that, we would really like to have kind of a rigid tutoring schedule in the ME department, and right now, there's lots of tutoring on campus, but it's fairly difficult to have upper level classes being available, and that's something that we feel we could address. And even talking with our department head, Dr. LaRochelle, and some of the faculty, this is a need that they have been asked for by students. Students have requested some of these classes, and currently they don't really have anybody able to do that. No general just group that they can send students to. So that's something we would be hoping to accomplish, kind of fill that void there for the upper level students. And we would note too that our group would be composed of juniors and seniors and graduate students. So we'd be able to encompass pretty much any sort of class really in the curriculum. And then finally we have just some things like graduate school information sessions. I know when I was trying to get into the accelerated master's program, it was kind of a mess trying to figure out where, who I need to talk to, what I need to do, what do I need to be, papers I need to be filling out, things like that. So we'd like to just have some sessions to encourage students to go to grad school and then, help them, lead them in the right direction if they're interested. And then other things, just internship preparation seminars, things like that, where we feel we can use, because all of us are going to be at least juniors and seniors, so the idea would be we have some valuable experience that we can share with other students, maybe going out on their first internship or job or whatever. So that's what we would like to see happen with this organization. Clearly, we're just getting it started, and all of us currently in it are going to be leaving within a year or two or something. So we would like to see us accomplish these things, and our vision for the future is we would then pass the organization down to other students would be that they continue this vision of growth and impact and service strictly within the ME department, and building the organization, getting more members, and then continuing on that direction. But then also they would have freedom to expand in more community service outreach and such as the organization would grow. So currently we have 10 members. You can see the spread here, 3 juniors, seniors, and a few graduate students. And noted that the requirement would be for any one of these members, they have to be within the top 25 percentile of their class. And so we would hope that we could add a few more, probably a few more juniors and seniors next time we would hold an initiation, which would be at some point before the end of the semester. And as I said, we've elected officers, and we've got a faculty advisor. And as far as expenses and funding is all concerned, really not much. It's pretty minimal for an honor society. We would be at some point having to go to the national convention representing our chapter there, which fortunately they have a travel stipend. This is available to all chapters through the organization, so that would be pretty much entirely covered by now, unless it was decided that more and more members were to go. Aside from that, it's just things like graduation regalia, hosting an initiation event, which is basically buying snacks or pizza or whatever, and that would be about it. And for the expenses that do come up, it is expected that we would have enough funding just from membership dues. And those are $50. That's just a one-time fee. So far, that's from all 10 of us. That's gotten us at a good start. And I feel that will be sufficient for this group. So that's all I've got. If you have questions.
We have questions. Senator Malcolm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Honor Society, does it fall under the Greek life umbrella, correct?
This one does not.
Senator Blau.
This is more for the CFO, like this group can't get self-funding, right, because it's limited admittance for the group?
Yeah, we've already talked about this in an email, so we're all.
I apologize, I just
Yeah, no.
clarifying for my own personal knowledge.
Any groups that limit membership based on GPA, major, or anything such as that are not eligible for self-funding.
Okay. Senator Blau.
I do want to say both this club and Fly Fishing Club applied last year, and so some of these guys have been waiting almost a year to be heard by us. So just keep that in mind, that kind of initiative.
Senator Seymour.
What are the professional benefits that you get as a member of this organization?
Yeah, for one is they do offer a lot of fellowships and scholarships and such, so if you wanted to continue on with grad school, there is the opportunity for funding there. In addition to that, there is a convention and other events by local chapters hosted for networking, such like that. So once you get off in the workforce, out working and such, there would be opportunities for building a network through the organization.
Okay.
Senator Adams.
So you talked about how it's been dormant for a decade. How do you plan on continuing membership if you only have 10 members and it's limited to being the top 25 percentile of your class?
Well, I think the big thing through that is developing a presence in departments right away. Because if we start hosting tutoring sessions and we have these events where we're giving presentations on interesting topics and trying to get our organization out there and let other students know that we exist and show them some of the interesting opportunities like giving a talk on a topic or having the chance to tutor higher classes. I think that's going to be key, is getting our name out there and getting exposure to the group.
So the tutoring would be limited to the people or the members in the group. Like, if let's say I'm not in the top 25% of the ME department, would I be able to come in and sit in on my Thermo 2 tutor, or is that off the table?
No, that would be the goal, would be to have tutoring by the Pi Tau Sigma members open to anyone. And it would be open to any department, but it would be advertised strictly in the ME department. So that would be how that would work. Senator Cameron.
When you say top 25% of your class, do you mean like everybody considered a junior at the School of Mines, or just in that ME department? So, like what 25%?
It would be in the ME department. Yeah. Yep. And they have in the Constitution, it outlines how they define junior and senior. It's by they have a tiers of how many credits you take and such.
Thank you.
Are you registered nationally already?
Yes, we are. Senator Russell.
Is that $50 one-time fee coming from nationals?
Yes. And that covers, as I showed, they had the key earlier, so everyone just want to know that covers that, and the designs to provide funding for the local chapter.
Other comments or questions? Going once, going Senator Knopfel.
Will the society be open to Americans only or to international students as well?
It's open to it. It would be open to international students. In fact, we do have international members.
Thank you.
Other questions? Comments? Going once, going twice? If not, thank you, Ms. Brill, for coming in. Any comments or questions about any of the open floor guests that were here? If not, we'll move on to the next thing. But before I do that, I realize I know this, but you guys may not know this. Corey's gone to a conference, by the way. That's where Corey is at. And Dean Mann's nephew had knee surgery, I believe. So that's where Dean Mann is at. I realize I knew that information. You guys may not know that, so I'm telling you. Next thing is unfinished business. We got resolution 19F008 election results. We'll get that on the screen in just a second. Who is?
It's mine. Do I need to read it again?
No, don't have it. Unless you want to. Just maybe make note of the word and put at the bottom there. Yes. Yep. So 19F008 election results. Yep. You're right.
Klein Saucer Thielen, resolution number 19F008, October 16th, 2019. Originated by Government Relations Committee, presented by myself, since this is the second time reading. Well, first time reading with Hold on, reading again. Just pointing out that we did amend this last meeting.
Any comments or discussion on this resolution? Senator Truman.
What part was amended? I guess I couldn't catch that.
It was after, so it was therefore, after therefore, by it being resolved by a majority vote, Student Association Senate and the signature of the Student Association President, that the full election result, including winner, loser, okay, it was,
is this one updated?
Excluding irrelevant write-in votes. It was that.
Okay.
So this is updated, you're saying?
Yes, that one is
excellent, yeah. It was the irrelevant part of what we had.
Can you
Senator
zoom
Randall.
document, I can read it from here.
Zoom in, you asked for?
Yes.
Yeah, on the bottom part specifically.
I think it's delayed.
Yeah.
Do it on your
I don't know.
It's okay.
There we go.
Thank you for the playback.
Senator Ping.
This is Piggy, but you don't need a comment after voting in the first paragraph, and then you don't need a comment after transparent in the third paragraph.
Do we want to update that, or? Yes, so we'll friendly amend those two commas. Clarification on that, where were the two commas, Senator Ping?
Yeah, the one after voting, and then the one after transparent. Yep.
Okay, are those, anyone have any issues with friendly amending that? Okay, Senator Campbell. Okay. Other comments or discussion on this one? Going once, going twice. Okay, so with those updates, we will, put this on next week. And with that, we'll go on to the next, resolution, and we're saving that one. Okay, wonderful. Next one is resolution 19F010, organization deactivation round 1. That is Senator Biden, I believe.
Alright, so, I read this last week. This won't be a friendly amendment, but can I entertain a motion to take Hard Rocker Baseball Club off that list?
Senator Guthrie.
I moved to strike Hard Rocker Baseball.
Okay, Senator Guthrie has moved to get rid of Hard Rock Baseball Club, seconded by Senator Seymour. What's that?
It's a vote.
All those in favor of getting rid of Hard Rocker Baseball Club on this document, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Excellent, so we got rid of those due to the fact that they did the requirements. Okay.
Next week.
Okay. So Hard Rocker Baseball Club we're removing from the bottom of that list.
Just put a strike through.
Can we scroll down just to see what other ones do?
Okay, that works. Can we scroll down?
One more strike through it. Can I just delete it?
No. It's underneath the font, so.
It's by the other.
Ooh, you got right on it.
Right on it.
Yes.
Okay, so we're amending that, so we cannot vote on it this week. Any other comments or discussion on this? Senator Spiller?
Was there anything that was going to be done about Ping Pong Club? If the president of the organization was doing a semester abroad?
Senator White.
Do you happen to know a different contact then? Because I should have at least 2 or 3 contacts for each org.
I'll talk to Wilcher when I get back here.
Okay, that would be appreciated.
Okay, so Senator Spillman is talking to Billy Pavilion in China. Senator Dolly.
If you can only find one person to talk to from the whole org, it might be a time to be active.
Other comments or discussion on this resolution? Any other comments or discussion or anything else? Okay, if not, I think we will, see this one next week, and we'll move on to the next thing. The next thing is new business. We have resolution 19F011, live stream purchase. And this one is, kind of a result of what we talked about in our exec meeting and stuff. So yeah. 19F011.
Did you get the new one I sent you?
I believe so.
I sent one over, just like. Not.
Well, I think we'll have that.
Did you send it to me?
I emailed you a copy, there was a typo. Yeah, I emailed it to the secretary.
Yeah, 19F011. This has to do with what we've been talking about. Right now we're hooked up to YouTube, and I looked at it last week and it doesn't archive our meetings, and it's hard to hear.
I'll talk about it too.
Yeah, and Jake will give you the explanation.
So, alright, I'll just read it, I'll talk about it after. Clients Officer Thielen, resolution number 19F011, read on the 23rd of October 2019, originated by myself and presented by myself. Whereas the current live streaming solution for the Student Association Senate is not consistent or adequate for our needs, and noting that the current solution does not allow for proper archiving of meetings, and noting the quality of both the audio and the video is poor for viewing, and noting that adding this piece of equipment will further the mission of the Clients Officer Thielen presidency. Whereas $479.98 shall be allocated to the Student Association Senate to purchase an Evo Plus and stand, and noting the allocation is under $500 threshold and the jurisdiction of this bill falls to the Finance Committee, and noting that the funds be paid to CFO West, who has purchased the equipment on behalf of the Student Association. Therefore, be it resolved by a majority vote of the Student Association Finance Committee and the signature of the Student Association President that $479.98 be allocated from the SOAP reverted funds account 4SA003 to the Student Association account 4SA001 and reimburse the CFO West.
Cool.
Any questions?
Senator Schumer.
What? Oh yeah, and by the way, this does not go to a vote because it is under 500 and the Finance Committee voted on it today, so.
Cool. Senator Schumer.
Yeah.
So sorry I missed the Finance Committee meeting, but I voted over a phone call.
Yes.
Did you already purchase
Yeah,
this?
so
Okay.
let me go over the
Okay, I
specifics.
just need clarification because there it sounds like it's getting allocated to the Senate and then it's being reimbursed to you, which is kind of like you're presenting it. And
Well,
it's
we
owned
gotta,
by you and it's owned by you.
yeah. So let me just
Sorry.
go through. Yeah, let me go through how I did this. I went ahead and purchased it after we've got it all figured out, so it can be here for next meeting, and I can have it set up for next meeting. So I have paid $479 of my own money right now to get this done, so we can have it quick. It's going to allow for us to it's got a lot nicer camera and a microphone made to, take in the audio from an entire room. 2, Tyler had noted that he really likes the USD where they have multiple camera angles, but we can't pay someone to actually run a camera broadcast like they do. So this is the feature of actually setting up zones, and it'll automatically detect who's talking, and it can zone in on certain spots. It won't come in on you specifically, but we can switch it over to just the presenter or just the head table. We'll have to make sure our layout is in a good way, and it also has a tally light on top, so we always know that when we're going, not wondering every time. And it also denotes where it's pointing based on the light location. So. And we'll be able to use Facebook Live, I think is where we're going to try and move to. So we'll make sure we get our Facebook more active and updated to get more people out. Yes.
Does it have the capacity for closed captioning?
For closed captioning, that I would have to look into. I know that was something at USD that I had talked to Ryan about. If it does have that capability, I'm guessing it's probably included in its paid package, which is a monthly $15, which we are not getting right now until we figure that out. So, at that point, if we want to do closed captioning, as far as I know about how that works in production-wise, that's going to be a very big expense to us because we have to implement because someone actually has to go type it while we're doing it. So if we get to that point where we need closed captioning, or if there's a big request for it, that's gonna have to be another discussion. Senator Marshall.
I guess like a good thing for that though is like through Facebook and YouTube, you know, it automatically generates it. Is it the most accurate? No.
Facebook does not.
Facebook doesn't?
No. And YouTube does not on live videos.
Okay. Maybe it would be archive though, so it'd be archive. Hungry.
Yep. Senator Blau.
Yeah, the ADA compliance is a very important part of this process, so I think we need to get that figured out ASAP.
Okay.
Senator Schumer.
I know it's not like a fix to the issue, but our meeting minutes would be helpful until we can figure out a better solution to the problem for people who would need the closed captioning and stuff. And then possibly, I don't know totally with the compliance, but possibly having the meeting minutes typed afterwards, if that's cheaper to have that instead of like the live closed captioning kind of thing, but just a couple different options until we figure out something else.
I'm pretty sure closed captioning too, as far as I know it's required for live TV, and we're not doing live TV. Whereas I know USD is already set up for that because that's a degree you can get there. So we have to keep that in mind as well, and the amount of people who really would need it. I mean, I'm not sure how we would do it if it cost us a large chunk of money and we only had one person that was in need of it. Senator Blau.
Would it be possible for us to get in touch with Amanda Lopez just to see like what she would suggest?
Yeah, if you would like to do that and have her get in touch with me.
Right. Senator Schumer.
The ADA ad hoc committee could also help.
Yeah.
I am a part of that.
That's an excellent point.
There's an ad hoc committee, yes.
Good call.
It's one of like the campus committees that we're on.
Alright, other comments and discussion on this? Senator McBride.
It's on Facebook Live. Can someone without Facebook watch it?
Yeah, the page is public, which article is public.
Senator DeLong.
You said you had already purchased this?
Yeah.
Did you do any comparison shopping or?
I purchased straight from Mevo. The price was exactly the same from, the reason I chose the Mevo is because I've had experience seeing it, using it. The Sturgis, where I come from, Sturgis, South Dakota, the local government uses it to stream every single meeting for the city hall, and it works very well as the music center here uses the exact same thing. So,
Senator DeLong.
Just for reference, was available cheaper a few other places than directly from Mevo.
What are you also looking at including the package?
I was looking at $80 for stand and $350 for Amiibo. Are we getting anything besides the stand and Amiibo?
No.
So we could have got it for $430 if we had purchased it.
$430 from where though?
Amazon.
Okay, it wasn't that price when I purchased it, so I looked, just so you know, I looked on Amazon and Mevo and it was exactly the same price, so. It
Senator
changes
Russell.
all the time.
Senator Russell.
Did we think about diverting any money from the president's discretionary fund for this at all?
If possible, he has not signed it yet, so.
I was just wondering if that was a thought when you guys were coming up with this.
I did this as we need to get it done now because everyone was talking about it and I don't want to see this thing talked about at every meeting for the next year, so.
That would be a possibility. I'd be on board with that. Senator McBride.
I agree with CFO West that need to be replaced because looking at the stream right now, I can just barely make out President Kleinhauser's face and can't read anything on the screen. So.
Also, if you try listening to it, like I did last week, it doesn't work. My 2 cents.
I'd like to note too that if we do end up somewhere in like the Alumni Center here or where they have the broadcasting, if you can see there's microphones in the room, we have the ability to hook right into those. They can give us an output so we can have very clear audio from everybody.
Senator Nance.
Wait, so it's just the camera, not the microphone, right?
No, it's all together.
Okay, so it's a camera and a microphone?
It's everything, yeah.
Okay, just curious, because that kit is $500 on Amazon. But, yeah, with a microphone.
Yeah, I don't know. It's,
Sorry.
I did my
I was
research.
just curious.
I've done my research and I did a senior project in high school where I live streamed every single sporting event that happened at school, so I've worked with this stuff before, so it's, yeah.
Other comments or discussion? Okay, if not, we will move on to the next one, please. This next one is, just kidding, I missed people. Senator Delbert. Yes. Senator Emmer.
I believe we have to make an amendment to that. The word allocated, the second whereas, shall be allocated to the student association center.
I'll take care of that since I have the actual copy that needs to be signed, so.
Okay. Yep.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Yep.
Friendly amend. I mean, this was just, it wasn't something we're voting on, so it's just, yeah.
So that's why we're putting the word allocated in.
After the 479.98 shall be allocated to the student.
Okay, shall be allocated, yeah, we'll put the word allocated. Alright, so that's a good point. Okay, moving on, the next one is 19F012, pay it forward. And this is in reference to the thing Kevin on the scholarship. I believe Rose.
Can I just sit here?
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll get on this page. Alright. Klein Saucer Field Resolution number 19F002, first read on October 23rd, 2019, originated by the Student Affairs Committee, presented by Senator Golly. Whereas members of the senior class have expressed an interest in creating a scholarship to help a senior who demonstrates financial need in the graduating class following them, and whereas the scholarship will be fundraised from students graduating in December or May of the year prior to the scholarship being allocated, and whereas the scholarship will be allocated to a student selected by the scholarship committee following the attached criteria. Therefore, be it resolved by a majority vote of the student senate and the signature of the student association president that the Pay It Forward scholarship will be fundraised and maintained by the student association senate's student affairs committee. And the criteria is below.
Please scroll down a second.
It's down. Okay, I can't see. There you go.
Yep.
So the scholarship shall be available to any undergrad student graduating within 2 semesters of receiving the scholarship. Applications will be open in January to be allocated the following August. Applications for the scholarship will include the following: demonstration of financial need, in what ways the student serves the school and surrounding communities, and what ways they are planning to give back after graduating. The student who demonstrates most financial need will be allocated the scholarship. Should there be more than one student that demonstrates equal financial need, the scholarship will be allocated to the student who demonstrates dedication to the school and surrounding community through service.
Any questions or discussion on this resolution, Senator Schumann?
Do you have a definition for financial need? Like, is that gonna go off of like FAFSA stuff, or is that gonna go off of like different records, or like?
I think the plan was it would go off FAFSA or whatever the scholarship committee uses, what they'd go off of.
Okay.
Senator Schumann.
If you scroll back up, I don't know if this is, if I'm thinking of the right thing, but where it says students graduating in December or May of the academic, or of the year prior to the scholarship, do you think academic year would be more appropriate, because then the ones that are donating in May would go to the person receiving it in the fall, is that correct? Or is it like a full like year?
Question. The plan was that it would be fundraised by people graduating for this year, people graduating in December and May. The money that they gave collectively would go to a student in the following fall.
Okay.
So if does that still make sense?
I don't know if academic year would be more clear, because then if you donate it because you're graduating in May of 2020, but then it's allocated to somebody in 2020, that makes that one, I think the way it's phrased now makes it sound like it's gonna go to somebody in 2021. I don't know, it's just kind of a clarification thing for the following years to read this.
Okay, well.
I don't know if that's.
If you, you could feel free to amend it where you think it should be.
Academic in front of year on the second whereas.
So a friendly amendment on the second whereas.
I think that's a friendly amendment.
It's- I think it is.
It's not changing what
it's
the
just
bill
making-
says, it's changing the
Providing
wording.
clarification.
Senator Shu.
I'm just trying to provide clarification for people in the coming years, so when they go back and read it, they don't have to wonder, like, the technicality of it.
Senator Blau.
Is this like a one semester scholarship or is it to be split between two?
Senator Blau.
No, it's made for people graduating December, so like for this year, it would be people graduating either in this December or this May, and then it would go to one times in the next fall.
So it's one semester?
Mhm.
Like, okay, it's only for that fall semester?
Well, it's just like it's like money that for them to maybe pay their rent, like.
Well, I know what it is,
but
yeah, but it's a one semester scholarship?
Yes.
That's what I'm looking for.
Other comments or discussion on this, Vasquez?
Sorry I missed the meeting, probably talked about this during then. I know when Caitlin was presenting it, she was mentioning how we already had a sponsor to essentially double that. Did you figure out if that was just for this year or if it could be passed on for the next year?
As of now, it's just for this year, but she expressed to me that they would probably, if we asked them again, they would most likely do it again. Or we could always find someone else to back it again, another donor, but for right now, they've committed to just this, but we could find more. They probably would do another few years.
Other, Senator DeLong.
How would the fundraising work exactly?
Senator DeLong.
We'll set up a foundation account and then it'll be the same kind of thing where the money you can write a check to our foundation account, or you can give, like, do the cash and we'll put it in that foundation account. So then the scholarship committee can allocate it in a more like professional way, other than us just giving them a check.
Senator Vasquez.
Have you considered combining this with maybe like a senior class gift, possibly? I know it's kind of a similar idea, but at the same time they go on two different tangents. One kind of helps like the individual student, the other one's more of a campus thing.
Yeah,
Your thoughts
we
on
haven't
that?
discussed that, but we can discuss doing that later, like making, instead of having this come from student affairs, kind of teaming up with the class gift. I like the idea of it coming from student affairs and the Senate, because it just makes me feel like it'll be more regular. Not that the class gift isn't regular, but like that it's the same sort of, the same group of people running it, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to say the class gift isn't as reliable, but I feel like this would, mixing the two different foundation accounts might get, for people that don't do it regularly, might get a little messed up. But we could discuss it as doing a joint thing, fundraising together would be helpful too, yeah.
Senator Kluber.
So the donor was willing to back up for $1,000. So hypothetically, let's say the senior class donates $1,000.30. That 30 cents would just go on to the next year's gift, or is it all like the entire senior class amount gets sent in there? Or okay,
Senator Dolly.
Yeah, so it would be if the senior class this year raises more than $1,000, then they'll back that for $1,000, and the rest of it will, everything that's raised, I'm trying to say, will go to the next fall student. So that's the way it'll work, continuing.
Other comments, discussion? Nothing? Okay. If not, we will put this next week on the unfinished business, so we'll vote on it next week. Next item on the thing is Resolution 19F013, Pi Tau Sigma. That was Mr. Daniel Bo, talked about the Honor Society.
Client Sasser Thielen, resolution number 19F013, from the 23rd of October 2019 posted. Originated by the Constitution Committee and presented by myself. Whereas adequate interest has been expressed by students wishing to form an organization, Pi Tau Sigma, and whereas there are currently no organizations that overlap this interest, and whereas a constitution has been constructed and reviewed for said club, and therefore be it resolved by a majority vote of the Student Senate and the signature of the Student Association President that the Constitution for Pi Tau Sigma be approved, allowing for formal recognition.
Discussion or questions on this? Senator Seymour.
I think based on the quality of his presentation, the professional benefits to future members, and the fact that they've been diligent and they applied last year and this year consecutively, I think we should approve them.
Other Other comments or discussion? Okay, if not, we will see this next week on the unfinished business, and we will vote on it next week. Next is resolution 19F014, Magic the Gathering Club.
Alright, Clarence Officer Thielen, resolution number 19F014 on the 23rd of October 2019, originated by the Constitution Committee and presented by myself. Whereas adequate interest has been expressed by students wishing to form an organization, Hard Rocker Magic the Gathering Club. And whereas there are currently no organizations that overlap this interest, and whereas a constitution has been constructed and reviewed for said club, and therefore be it resolved by a majority vote of the student senate and the signature of the student association president that the constitution for Hard Rocker MTG Club be approved along with the formal recognition.
Comments or discussion on Magic the Gathering Club? Sarah Schumann?
I feel like they're slightly on the line of being able to be part of the tabletop club, just have a separate meeting time, but I understand that that's not the goal of the tabletop club. So I'm just it's just kind of that gray area, I guess, from what I see.
So I think with this club, I let it go forward because they weren't going to be asking for funds, and so it doesn't really matter if they're a separate club. You know, we're not paying two clubs to do similar things. They're just meeting at different times and doing, they are doing different things as well. I think they're different enough groups of students that it's okay.
I just want to reiterate that we don't approve or deny clubs based on if they're asking for funding. Just for everyone here, that's not a reason why we would turn a club down. But yeah, so I just.
Senator Block.
A big part of what Summer was doing last year when she was running the Constitution Committee was getting rid of the umbrella clubs, and that would kind of turn tabletop into an umbrella club. Plus, the culture around Magic the Gathering is different than any other game culture I've seen. My dad is a 42-year-old man who has a wall full of cards, and I'm feeling like these are the people that we're dealing with here. This is not a game, it is a lifestyle. So I think by creating a club for Magic the Gathering, it's no different, I don't know, you could lump fly fishing with rock climbing because they're all outdoors, kind of thing, I don't know. I consider the tabletop and the completely different animals, personally, so.
Senator Cameron.
Yeah, I have the same thought, but because I'm not into those kinds of card games, I guess. I'm into lists and stuff like that, but which isn't the lifestyle. But so I'm not, the thought that I just defined it in my head as is we could have a sports ball club, right? We're a small town in the United States, there'd be sports ball club is how I think of the tabletop club for people who generalize. 1 week they want to play kickball, 1 week they want to play baseball, which this is you're having an intramural basketball team, and I feel on our campus especially, I'm surprised we don't have a D&D club, and we would approve that in our community, so, yeah.
Senator Herrera.
As an RA, as even a first RA, I see people in the residence hall, I see people playing Magic all the time, and it's more that than any other card game I've seen, any other game even in the Commons and other places on campus.
Yeah, I see it a ton on Fulmerton 3rd. They play that. It's they live and breathe that, and it's actually pretty cool. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea.
Other discussion or comments on this? Or if not, excuse me, yeah, Senator Block.
As far as involvement, those that Cole and Daniel were on my floor last year, and they would host mini tournaments in their room. So they are very passionate about this and got a lot of people on our floor involved that weren't initially involved in Magic. So I believe that they will be able to continue that for
Senator Russell, do we know how many members are in the tabletop club?
So Senator Biden is looking that up. comments or discussion, or we'll come right back to that? I don't know. I don't remember. Other comments on Magic Gathering Club? How many people have ever played Magic here? Raise your hands. Oh, so like actually though? Okay, cool. I've never played this game.
Me neither. How long has this game been around?
27.
So the answer is 27 members.
Long time. It's,
Oh, you've been
my
around
dad
since the
played
80s.
me.
Oh, okay.
I tried.
This game's been around since the 90s.
I thought it's only.
Sorry, it was my fault. I didn't introduce everybody talking. So Senator Russell brought up the topic of how many people in a tabletop club. Senator Wright looked it up. 27 was that number in the tabletop club. Other comments or discussion on this? Senator Namis.
For next week, can we just know what the overlap number is between the members? Just because I'm curious if it's going to, if it were to grow, if they would mix more, or if it's just we're forming two clubs of the same people. Just because, like, I know they're two different breeds, but if everyone's in both clubs, couldn't the clubs just host two different meetings? Just out of curiosity.
Senator Wright.
I can ask them, but at this point, I see them as similar but different interests.
Senator Schumann.
Say the same thing.
Okay, Senator Blau.
Wait, what did you say? Sorry, Tom.
Senator Namis was expressing that if they're the exact same members in each club,
Oh, yeah.
and having two names for all the same people is what the idea is.
Valid point. However, any reason we can get Mine's kids to socialize is a good reason. Valid point.
Senator Marshall.
I just kind of going off that, like blacksmith and welding, there's some overlap, but it's two entirely different mentalities. Like we share the same space, but it's two whole different mentalities, and it would not work to be under the same like umbrella, like mentality wise. So I think it might be a better idea just to have, I guess, approve this one.
Okay, other comments or discussion on this? Okay, if not, we will see this one next week, and we will vote on it next week, I believe. So next thing we got is 19F015, the Fly Fishing Club. I imagine it would be a similar resolution, with fly fishing as the name. And
It wouldn't be
far off. I'm pretty smart. So.
Alright, Klein Saucer Thielen, resolution number 19F015 from the 23rd of October 2019, originated by the Constitution Committee and presented by myself. Whereas adequate interest has been expressed by students wishing to form an organization, Fly Fishing Club, and whereas there are currently no organizations that overlap this interest, and whereas a constitution has been constructed and reviewed for said club, and therefore be it resolved by a majority vote of the Student Senate and the signature of the Student Association President that the Constitution for Fly Fishing Club be approved for formal recognition.
Comments or discussion on this resolution? Senator Seymour?
I think once they demonstrate that they have proper safety and liability things covered as a method of guaranteeing everybody's safety and security while participating in the activity. I think if they can demonstrate that, then we should approve them because much like the fraternity, they've come back a second year consecutively and they've demonstrated a passion and such for it.
Senator Marshall?
Going off that, when I went outside earlier and talked to him, got a hold of him, I'm going to help him kind of get the safety waiver they need going. It should be a pretty quick process.
CFO, is there one clarification? I don't think they came back. Is this what you're going to talk about? I don't think they came back because I think they were still in the process from last year because of the Senate process didn't go through.
Yeah.
Senator White?
They were one of three that was sort of a legacy from last year, just kind of left over, I guess. That my committee's been working through. So, and then as far as the safety thing goes, I think, you know, they stated that they would be willing to have those forms available, to look into it, and so I think they should be voted in next week. I don't think we should put them off any longer. It's been 8-9 months, so.
Okay, Senator Rhodes.
I would agree with that. I think they've shown their commitment to their club, and so I think that they committed to presenting those forms to their members. So I agree that we should vote on this resolution next week.
Senator Marshall.
I would agree with that as well. Like it's we can we're literally knocking this out next week. It'll be taken care of before any like actual events occur. So I think it'll be fine.
Senator Block.
And just to clarify, we're not the Big Bad Constitution Committee trying to not pass people. They didn't respond to us until like the week before the transition meeting. So then we had a new balance of power, and then all the new senators were getting adjusted. So like it was just like the timing of everything that ended up getting it pushed over the summer. It's not like we were intentionally not bringing them forward. So.
Other comments or discussion on Fly Fishing Club? Okay. If not, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. We have open discussion. Any open discussion? Senator. One person. Yeah. Senator Marshall.
I just want to mention something quick. Like 2 water bottles were left out there. One of them was one of the fly fishing guys, but I don't know whose this is of the groups. Is it Bose?
Georgetown.
I can email them if you want.
Yeah. We can just put it in the Senate office. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take care of the water bottle next time. Other comments of open discussion? Senator Hopkins.
Name tags. You have did you send her the name tag?
Senator.
There should be an Excel spreadsheet in the library.
I did put it on the abstract.
Okay, so.
What are we talking about?
Senator Henry.
There is an Excel spreadsheet in the F drive called Senate name tags. If you would pull that up, but basically, what
You know what I need?
So.
Are you talking about?
It,
Well, if it's in the F drive, is it not in our? No, it's in folder.
It's on
Where in the F drive did we put it?
It's
Senator Henry.
I myself have no access to that yet, so she put it in there.
So Senator, you didn't put it on the F drive.
What's the official name of it?
Senate name tag. It's like an Excel spreadsheet.
Is there a file? Okay, describe to us what we were saying.
Okay, so we decided that we're gonna get Senate name tags. So it'd be like little silver ones, have your name and then your position in the Senate listed as well. Big, yeah, that's great. And so it's gonna be $8 a piece, so it's gonna be $2.24. So we're gonna need 28 of them, and it's basically gonna be done by the IE department. And so we have the names and the positions up there. So if you just want to like check through and make sure that all of your information is correct.
Senator Henry.
In our committee meeting, me and CFO West were talking about, he can actually, will most likely obtain them at a cheaper price, if he wants to work for engraving.
I work for an engraving company in Sturgis, and so I can design them, send them, and get them done, and be much cheaper. So we're not spending so much money.
And on the name tags, like, it'll have your name, and then if you don't have like a specific position, like president, CFO, vice president, it'll have what year you are. If you do have a specific position, it'll like have it, like CFO, president, and then we want to try to get the like Senate logo on there too. So.
Senator Schuman.
Okay, I have a couple comments, questions maybe. So we used to do name tags when I was a freshman. I got one, but we just put like student senator on them, so that if you're reelected, you could just keep reusing them, and that way you wouldn't have to buy a new one every year if you choose to be on Senate more than 1 year. Just a suggestion. Two, if we already have that name tag that just says student senator, are we obligated to purchase another one? Or like, is this just like an optional thing? I guess I'm not sure where this is coming from.
Clarification. This is coming from, many people have expressed that we should get Senate name tags. I was sitting in the Senate office with 5 or 6 people who are then delegated to do it. Yeah. If you didn't want to get a new one, I would say no, you don't have to. That's just my thought. Maybe you feel.
Also, when we were at student fed, most of the schools did have name tags. So we just thought, it's an option if you are interested in it, and I don't think it's going to be mandatory.
Senator Norfolk.
Why is my name not listed then?
Is it not on,
Senator,
is it not on there? Cause I went, I mean, if it isn't, then that's my mistake. I just went off the contact info sheet that's in the drive. But I can put that on there. I apologize.
Yeah, so Senator Emery is putting that on there. Good catch. And this is what this is for, so we can spot check. Thank you, that's a very good point. Senator
I
Emery.
should also mention, if your name is not spelled properly, let me know.
That's important. I see that Senator Blau's name is spelled correctly, so that's very important. Secretary.
There is under the secretary folder a form that looks similar to this that has your logo and your name and what Senate position that you are on currently. If you want to use that, it's under the secretary one. It's called, I think it's just name tags, and it's a publisher.
Senator Hopkins.
Question for CFO West, like what would be what would be about the price you could get them made for, you
You
think?
said $8.
Yeah.
I can probably do at 4 or less, probably.
What if I go back to the AI department and just make them do them for 3 because you're gonna do them for 4?
That's
leverage.
I just asked my boss because I said I'll design the files.
Okay.
I've done name tags before, so
Okay. I'll see what he says. I can email him tonight.
Yeah, I think that gives us leverage. Fine. Other comments or discussion, Senator McBride.
I think the important thing is they have to look better than the other schools when we go to student care.
We can make them out of anything. If you want them wood. They're really cool. And they can be handshake if you want.
Senator Schuman.
Is our Senate logo licensed at all? Do we know, so we don't get in trouble with that?
Sorry. VP Taylor.
I think since we have it on our polos, we can put it on the name tag.
Senator Schuman.
Do you get the polos through the bookstore though, because they have the license?
The bookstore gives it to another person and we go through them.
Oh.
Like they're the point of contact. They don't actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it's like through another person.
Senator Krueger.
My personal privilege.
Senator Marshall.
So do we need to do the same going through the bookstore?
I'm emailing right now.
Okay.
End of discussion.
Okay. VP Taylor.
No, the bookstore's more just like they have the contact to who would do it. So it's not really like they wouldn't have the contact to who does name tags, if that makes sense. More what I'm saying.
Other comments or discussion on any of that or other open discussion? Senator Blau.
Okay, so I had a student approach me about why we have a fence like outside the little porch patio thing, like by the cafeteria, and I was just wondering why.
The snow fence.
Is that what it's
I
for? Is
don't
it
know.
gonna hold snow or?
Senator McBride.
It's not a snow fence. I assume it's for basically liability to keep people from tripping over that step, because there's a little step that I see.
Okay.
Secretary.
This actually came up my freshman year. The reason why we have that there is that step is not up to code, it's too tall. And instead of paying a lot of money to like get it to be the right size, they just put a fence up because it's cheaper.
Fair enough, as long as it's.
Senator Blau.
Okay, off topic, I talked to Shelby about this and I got approval from Dr. Rankin. I went out to coffee with Tony Randolph the other day and the owner of Pure Bean happened to sit down in conversation with us. And long story short, they offered the space and Representative Randolph offered to, like, help put together a legislative mixer if we wanted to do that, like our Senate with our local legislators that, we will be interacting with at SHED and everything else. So I think I'm gonna work with the governmental relations and try to get it figured out. I'm gonna contact the Pure Bean guy, but I forgot his name. I have his card. And
Pure Bean is not wheelchair accessible,
it is not.
not in a functional capacity though.
Well, I will talk to you about that and figure out.
No, there's, like, he rents the space.
Yeah.
And his landlord, based on the historic nature of the building, is not willing to make any ADA accessibility accommodations.
His grandfather did.
In fact, when I talked to the owner several months back, he was going to approach one of the engineering departments on campus to see if they would be willing to use that space as like a senior design project to figure out a way to make it accessible. But he hasn't heard back from anybody about anything regarding that.
That would be a great senior design project for one.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate it's not worthwhile accessible. I'll see if he has any other ideas for space at
Okay.
least, but would you guys be open to the idea of having a legislative mixer of some sort?
Yes.
Yes, cool.
Senator Schumer.
I would say we'll be able to have it on campus or here.
Theoretically, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, Pure Bean's still in the road, use the kid.
Or something.
Other open discussion? Senator Knopfel.
So I remember last year during a President Overkill of Senate, during voting, we can either say aye, sign, or abstention, and I haven't heard an option to abstain anymore. Is that something you want to do in the future?
Giving senators an option to abstain from voting?
Yes.
You just don't verbally.
Yes, as far as a voice vote or as far as a roll call vote?
Probably roll, for the first matter, is it allowed to abstention?
Yes, so on a voice vote, I guess, if you would wish to abstain, just don't take either option. On a roll call vote, you can say you abstain. Good. Okay. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Other open discussion items?
On another note, this document, can it be put on the Google Drive by any chance, or, because I just checked, it's read only.
We can, but it is on the F drive, and everyone should be able to access it.
It's read only?
It's read only, I cannot check.
Yes. Yeah, so you just have to let me know and I'll edit it.
Senator Emery. That's right. Okay. Senator Schumer.
That and like when somebody else has a document open from the F drive, it is read only, so only one person can edit it at a time. So that might be why it is read only right now.
Senator McBride.
Just a friendly reminder based on that, if you have a document open in the F drive, close it when you're done.
Good point. Senator GC Taylor.
I also believe only chairs can, go in and like really change anything in the F drive, unless you have like a previous transition.
Okay. Not well.
With that in mind, just a friendly reminder to add my name.
Okay.
Senator Hopkins.
So we'll probably just hold off on this till next week and then like vote on it or something, because I'll just talk to Ryan Lee some more and we'll figure out things.
Okay. Yeah.
As long as pricing goes.
Yeah, we'll have the committee that I delegated, check with the CFO West, just about pricing and stuff.
I have pricing.
What's the price?
$2 to $3.
Okay.
Depending on if we pick wood or plastic. And it'll be on the closer to 2.
Okay. So I would say that the committee here talk to Ryan Lee, tell him that's
150 or no.
I mean, I trust you guys to figure it out, but we got options to one side. CFO West.
Are we, okay, I'm changing the discussion here. As far as, file organization, I need to tell everyone's having a very hard time getting files, finding files. I am talking with IT because, IT and also a lot of other, departments that have not been able to find things. I had a horrible time finding things on the CFO folders for years after Kate's, Kate did a good job. I've locked files, all this stuff. So, I'm gonna talk to IT, and it sounds like we're gonna hopefully be moving away from the F drive in the coming years and be able to use more of the Office 365 solution, but integrated with your computers and into Teams solutions, so we can actually have multiple files open at the same time and have collaborative editing just like Google Drive. I know Google Drive's great, but it's not robust enough for a lot of department needs or for some of our needs, especially like in the finance committee, to be able to use as far as available functions and things for spreadsheets. So in essence, I will let you guys know, but I think in the future we're gonna have a file organization structure that we're gonna have to follow more strictly to make it easier for the Senate in the future. And TI's having a problem right now, so, oh, it's online. Well, there you go.
Yep, Senator Emery.
But going back to that, would it be easier for me to just focus on like a Google Sheets and then put it in a drive? Or should we just keep it this?
I'm saying some yeses.
Because I would be perfectly fine with making this into a sheet and putting it on the drive.
Senator Dolly.
The drive would probably be an easier, shorter solution for this one, because it's against consent.
Other items of open discussion, or if not, we'll move on to the next thing. Next thing is CFO report. Just kidding, Senator Russell.
Since we're looking into being a little bit more structured, I guess, and looking more presentable in front of people, is there any way we can get new name tags here that are more functional and look better?
I'm printing new ones, I just haven't done it yet.
What exact things would you say would make them look better?
Anything besides what's going on right now, you know?
This for example, or? Okay. Senator Emery.
I would just say something that's easier to like hold them up, other than like having to make 28 creases to just have it up on your desk, but.
Secretary.
Alright, so I made those ones from scratch. I finally got the old secretary name tag document. I was not given that during my transition report. I had to like recontact old secretaries to get a hold of it. And so that's what's on the F drive right now for name tags. I just haven't printed them yet. They're also colored.
Senator McBride.
As this has been a long meeting, would Senator Blau please pass the candy bag back?
Only if she doesn't violate. Good point. CFO Les.
You guys at the name tag committee sent, also maybe take a look at, see if you can find stands. If we bought metal stands and we can just slide paper into them, those can be reused for years, so.
Okay. Senator Emery.
That sounds like a really good idea.
Get on that, get back to that.
Other items for open discussion? We're getting long here, I apologize guys. Any other items of open discussion? Okay, if not, we'll move on to CFO report.
Okay, 90 organizations attended soap workshops, 71 received soap last year. I don't think all of those 90 are going to ask for soap. I ordered the Mevo Plus, we should be live streaming next week. I sent a message to the foundation, still waiting for them to get back to me on the tax process they have. Working with IT to determine the file organization structure. Hopefully I have a meeting on Friday. And then we took a look today at our meeting at a new layout to organize student requests as they come in, courtesy of Senator Morrison. He's very good at working on spreadsheets, so really appreciate that. And hopefully we'll have a past structure with all the past requests included on them as well for easy access. Any questions?
Questions or discussion on CFO report? Going once, going twice, or if not, we'll move on to the VP report.
Okay, first thing, polos. I finally heard back from them. So it will be $10 if it's your first polo, 20 if it's your second. I will leave open the sheet till Friday, and then Friday at like 4, whatever's on there will get sent forward. If you put small/extra small, please just pick a size, because I don't want to have to pick it for you. And you'll also not get your polo until you pay me. I can take money whenever. If you're just handing it to me and I'm not at my desk, please like put it in an envelope of some sort with your name, just so I don't have to carry it around. Alright, so I've January 22nd, I will send out an email for you to RSVP, and it will be at their president's house. And then we'll also get vans to rent out, so you guys don't have to worry about driving there. But just keep that in mind that we are looking at that. And yeah, I'll send out more information.
Your Venmo,
I will not take Venmo.
You can Venmo double the money to me, and then I'll get back.
I need it in cash. Just put it in the account. Because I don't have cash myself. Alright, and then, okay. So on my past resolution, I think there's some miscommunication that I need to talk about. So the resolution wasn't for lobbying or saying we were in support of the bill. It was us saying if we are in support of the draft that they have completed so far, and if there's any comments or concerns we have or changes we would like to see with it while they're still drafting it before it comes officially in a permanent state. Does anyone have questions on that so far? No? Cool. So SDSU did pass a resolution saying they were in favor of it as long as there's no cap and as long as you can take remedial coursework and still receive a scholarship. So that's when they drafted it to have no cap. And then they did change it for that you could have remedial coursework, but at their last meeting they changed it back. So currently, as I'm standing, to receive the scholarship, you have to be Pell eligible, ACT of 22 and up, a GPA of 3.0 and up, South Dakota resident, first time and you have to be a full-time student, degree seeking within 2 or 4 years, and no remedial coursework. Is there any questions on the bill in standing? This is kind of the main points I've been bringing up. Yeah.
I think I misread, but you mentioned age 22 and up, or?
ACT.
ACT, okay.
I just want to point out about what's on the comment board right now. I don't really know how you fix it, but there was somebody who was like, "Oh, what is it about?" And I was like, "Oh, let me explain." And the way that they read it was that if they were Pell Grant eligible and they met those requirements, it was an automatic scholarship, and which it's not. And so I don't know if you just want to put that on there, but so that's what some of them were reading it as. So obviously they're like, "Hey, that's me." Mark it, so yeah.
I had heard some mention at the actual Board of Regents meeting that they were considering different requirements for tribal and non-tribal colleges. Is that still the case, or?
The last I read, the tribal colleges pulled out along with the tech schools. The only schools that are left in there right now are the Board of Regents schools.
Yeah.
They were initially involved in the
Yeah, so the big thing is they are not allowing people who need remedial coursework to be eligible for the scholarship. They changed it back. So keep that in mind when we see the resolution again, because from what it sounded like on our discussion on this, you guys wanted people who needed remedial classwork to be eligible for the scholarship, and that's what SDSU is in favor of. So yeah, we kind of want to make a decision on how we feel about the rough draft of this bill, or if we want to give any of our comments to the Board of Regents and to those drafting it, if we want any changes, preferably before the December student fed, just so that we can all come together, and if we all have the same opinion, we're stronger together than separate. Yes.
On the note of the tribal schools, those schools pulled out, but there was, Dr. Barron had mentioned that they might be trying to pull together a scholarship of their own, and that's why they pulled out of some sort. So it's not like they were kicked out of this process, it's they chose to leave, so.
Yes.
So with the remedial coursework, is the goal of the scholarship to encourage students who have performed well to go to school and have the financial need, or is it just to encourage students to go to school?
They see that the students in South Dakota who are more in financial need don't finish. So this is to target that group. And so right now they want to hit it for those who are in the upper class to see if it succeeds before they open it up to everyone, someone who's more likely to finish a 4-year degree. Because it got shut down last time because it was too open, that they thought it was going to be a waste of money before we knew if it was going to work. So that's kind of the plan for that.
Point of clarification, these aren't for students to stay in school necessarily, it's for those students that do not enroll in school currently, but they could with the help of the extra scholarship, because they estimated 1,800 kids could have theoretically gone to school in South Dakota if they had that gap paid for. So this is just like a gap scholarship for the kids that are not currently going to school after high school, but could go to school after high school.
Yeah.
I feel as if it was open to remedial coursework, it would further that goal. So people that might need it but still have a financial need will be more inclined to go to college. So I think I am in favor of us saying that it should require remedial coursework.
Yeah, so on our campus, trig is remedial. So if you have to take trig, you are automatically on the scholarship, even if, like trig wouldn't be remedial on other campuses. So keep that in mind, that's how it would apply to our campus, yes.
I guess especially going off of that, coming from such a small public school in Timberlake, South Dakota, we didn't offer calculus. We didn't offer, like our pre-calc wasn't enough to get me into calculus here. So it's like, I'm coming from a public institution, I still had to take remedial coursework, so I would definitely like to see that change, because that affects all the small schools in the state that don't have the option. Like the only option they have is dual credit, but that's money directly out of the student's pocket, like while they're still in high school, which isn't really affordable because there's no scholarships for that sort of thing.
So yeah, can I hear more on everyone's opinions on if we want to add to my resolution that we would like the remedial coursework to be allowed, and for them, if a student needs it, they can receive the scholarship? Rosie.
On the comment board, there was I was going to talk about this in my report, but there's a lot of people asking where the money comes from, which I talked to Ryan, and she said, we don't know yet, so.
It has to be a bill for them.
Yeah, it has to be billed, so that's, and then a lot of people asking why just Pell Grants, but that's because of the nature of the bill, it's financial limited, so that's what the comment board said.
And I would like to mention from the notes, the scholarship is designated as a $4 million program, with roughly $2 million being requested from the state and $2 million in private donors, so 1-to-1 match. Yes.
Going back to the remedial coursework, so I'm even from like a small school in Minnesota, but I understand that they work similarly as far as like doing enrollment and stuff like that. So like I took a college algebra class that I got credit for, and then like my school, I was like, hey, can I take an online calculus class by myself through enrollment? They wouldn't even let me. They're like, you're never gonna need it, even though you're going for engineering. I'm not mad about it, you are. So I took psychology instead, but like, essentially like a lot of kids just don't have that opportunity. Even though I did try to do that, so I think that would be ridiculous that if you come in ready to take trigonometry and you're gonna ace that class and you're gonna go on and calc or whatever, you know, it's pretty dumb that you can't do that. So I think I am very in favor of saying we're not gonna approve this unless you guys do that, so.
Is there anyone against it that can just raise their hand right now, that I can just add that into the resolution, and we'll be okay with that? Is anyone against remedial coursework? Yes, Katie.
I would just like to say that Shelby notified me that Senator Borglum will be the guest speaker at our next GR meeting, which is tomorrow night at 5:30. So if you want to come, show up and express your concerns to her there.
That's tomorrow at 5 p.m. in the Senate office?
5:30.
5:30 in the Senate office?
Yes, sir.
Do I understand? Okay. Senator McBride.
You had mentioned that people were asking questions on the comment board about why is it Pell only. I was talking to a few students who were basically expressing concern that the way that Pell eligibility is calculated isn't always an accurate reflection of financial need. I don't know if there's really a better way to calculate, but I think that was what some of the concern was from.
Ryan.
They can take that up with the federal government. For the sake of this scholarship, they have to limit the amount of people that can apply because we have a set budget. Like, we can't have everybody that has financial need, because I bet theoretically all of us have some form of financial need that we could benefit from an additional scholarship. So they have to limit it, and that's the parameters they use to limit it, just because it cuts it down so much, because it is calculated kind of funky. So that, and they are redoing the FAFSA process on the federal level right now, so if you want to reach out to your state senators.
I have direct contact information for the United States senators and the congressmen, if you're interested in honestly taking it up with them.
Well, Senator Blau.
Complete side note, but, federation, or I'm trying to convince student federation to go federal, so if we do decide to do that, could we get that information from them?
I'll email it to you.
Thank you.
Sure. Other comments or discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, any other VP?
So no one has any more questions on the Dakota Promise? Cool. I can email you information.
Senator Wilson.
Just more of a point of order is, when we were all just silent saying that we would support that amendment to the resolution, is that,
a recorded vote?
In general.
or is it, are we gonna see that, is it gonna be done formally, or is it?
No, it's for you.
Okay,
You don't vote.
Okay, I run the voting. I would say we would make sure we like bring that up, like in a formal way.
So we're gonna vote on that next week.
Well, technically, by Robert's Rules of Order, a friendly amend, since I wrote it, as long as I agree with it, that someone brought it up, I can just change it, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And we don't have to vote on it.
Yes.
Yes. So technically, I can just change it.
So we would just amend it and then vote on the resolution, is what I'm understanding.
Yes.
Okay. Senator McBride.
Yeah, I was just gonna comment, because it was tabled, would it not be exempt from that? Basically, because it's not an active resolution, the amendments shouldn't need to be voted on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still read it twice, so it'll be like the first reading the next time we see it again.
I'm just making sure.
Okay. Good. Other comments or discussion on VP report things?
I also posted the office hours around Lower Surbeck. If you guys have any other locations you'd like to see them, please let me know. Also, if they change, please let me know so I can update them. And that's all I have.
Questions, comments on VP report? President, not President's report. Couple different things, for those of you that were at the University Advisory Board. The next one is 4/20, FYI, 7:30 a.m. Monday morning. 4/20, in case it's a good day. But also the point of, my bringing this up, we talked a lot at this current one about the Career Center and kind of career fair stuff, and how that is portrayed to freshmen. I'm interested in getting a group of 5 to 6 people to talk to Matt, so we can get information from him, get a shared communication there. People specifically who are at the UAB board, who would be interested in maybe going and talking with Matt. Group 5, 6 people would be great. Let me write down names. It's just the idea is that so we have the people who were there at UAB board and sharing, so we get that direct communication hooked up to Matt. So I'm writing down names here: Blau, Marshall, Emery's last name. Who else we got? Senator Seymour. Anybody else who was at the breakfast and had some feedback for things about Career Center and stuff? Career Fair, Senator Blau.
Well, I just, more of a question, when you guys next meet with Dr. Rankin, will you kind of tell him, or tell us his feedback about, like, what he heard about the University Advisory Board, so we know what was passed on?
Okay, and we are meeting with President Rankin tomorrow at 9 a.m. So that is something we will ask about. Ask about UAB feedback. Okay, yes, that's a very good point. Anybody else who was at that University Advisory Board, or even not, that would like to be involved and learn more about career fair stuff, how we work freshman stuff? Anybody? I might reach out to Senator DeLong on in. Okay. Okay, thank you. Other thing coming up for President's Report, I work in Residence Life, and Mr. Dan CP, Director of Residence Life, wants me to look into the idea of gender inclusive housing. Right now we have that in a limited capacity, meaning that, like for example, over in Placer in single rooms, we have gender inclusive housing, which means that, for example, a male and a female student could live in the same apartment. Dan CP is wondering for next year if we would be interested in change that to gender inclusive housing on more areas on campus. Just FYI, that is in the works. I'm going to coordinate with the student affairs on this. But do you think about that? if you wanna go talk to Dan about it, feel free. Just heads up, that's all. As far as my report, I think that's, and then I have other questions for me. Okay, if not, we'll go on to the next item, which would be international report.
I do not have anything to report at the moment.
Any questions or concerns? Moving on to non-trad, I believe.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Questions or comments for non-trad?
There is not a non-traditional student organization. I can't find any contact information, and the people that I've reached out to have no concerns at this time.
Senator Marshall, you're so kind of shut the door real quick. Okay, next then we'll move on to committee reports. I kind of switched up, just like people typically go first. GR Shelby, Senator Duffy, here at the moment. Is there GR report? Excellent.
So, Grant went to the second meeting of the city council this Monday. Our tentative voter registration day is still November 14th. Do you want to discuss your report at all, or are you okay?
Regarding report.
It just says give Grant time to give his report.
So, Representative Borglum, District 32, is gonna, like we said, come to our GR meeting at 5:30 tomorrow. Why she's coming actually is because she's writing an op-ed on South Dakota and the student loan debt. An op-ed is gonna be in the newspaper. It's like not an editorial, but it's an opinion piece. And she wants input, so I think the most appropriate spot to start out would be in GR relations. And then see about moving it to all of Senate to give input. So that's the reason why she's coming. That's it.
She wants to know if anyone could help her get registered stickers or merch for that voter registration day. If no one has an idea, we can just get stickers, it's okay. I think this is what Ryan was referring to, the December 4th mixer with legislators. Right. And then, yep, Senator Borglum is coming to speak with the GR committee tomorrow at 5:30.
Okay. Is that end report?
Yep.
Okay.
End report.
Questions for GR things? Okay. Back to my question real quick. I had Blau and then MAR. Was that somebody over here? For going and talking to Matt Henley. Marshall. Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you. That was my fault. If there are no questions for GR stuff, we'll move on to the next one, which is public relations.
Alright, so y'all have spoken, got my email, hopefully you did. We showed the t-shirt, the gold one, pretty nifty. So the more we order, the less they cost, because it is optional. I'm not gonna require you guys to buy one, but I calculated if 75% of us buy it, it's gonna be like $15.50 versus swag. The spreadsheet's in the Senate Drive. Go ahead and drop your Venmo. Actually, if you want to pay that way, I don't have to. If not, cash works. And then, wait, no, Jacob's mad at me. No.
I would prefer we try not to use that.
Okay, just kidding. Don't use Venmo. Jacob's mad.
Yes.
Could you Venmo someone and then they write a check, you know, acceptable?
Yeah, we just don't want to set a precedent to other orgs, because I already.
Oh, you don't want them using
I don't
online?
want using online sales, just discouraged.
So we're not gonna do that because we are a so don't do that, but put your size down in the Senate Drive. Rapid City Rush, we did get a discount, for the home opener happening this Friday. So it's $10 a ticket, and you have to phone a certain, it's a phone number, so if you wanna call them and actually get a discount, let me know, or I can actually put my poster up in the Senate Drive too on Google, so you guys can just like have all that information there. But it's on the 25th, so this Friday. You have to call that number before 4 p.m. on Friday to get the $10 ticket. If you want to go with 5 people, you request to sit together. It's actually pretty sweet. And then, so it won't be for every game, but we're talking about doing it for 30 set nights. So when they're doing promotions for other stuff, they kind of want more people there. So they're considering giving us a discount for those nights we're not related to, so they get more people there. So we're going to do that. I'll let you know when the next one would be. There's a trivia night coming up that Alpha Omega Epsilon, the sorority here on campus, puts on. It happens at Thirsties, and it's basically a fundraiser for Boys and Girls Club in Rapid City. Last year, Student Senate sponsored half of a table, which would be $40, or the whole table would be $80. And basically you go, and it's just a bar trivia night, and all this money, or not all of it, a certain percentage of it gets sent to the Boys and Girls Club. And since we did do it last year, I think it's a really good idea. I've heard it's actually super, super fun too. I'll be there, and I'm sure I can get, enough people from here. And we could sponsor the table, and we wouldn't have to fill it with senators, but it would be best if we did.
Yeah, the Senate has won the last 3 trivia nights at Thirsties, so we turn up, and please be ready to compete if you sign up.
Yeah, so that's the 16th of November, so I won't send her on a sign-up sheet yet, in case you guys schedule changes. I'm not president.
First comment, we beat Aaron Campbell, so that's what matters. Second comment is, I think if Senate were to sponsor or half a table or half 2 tables or whatever, we should make an effort to open it up to the student body, because otherwise I feel like that's a little shady to just do it under the table. Be like, we're gonna use your GAP money to sponsor half of our fun activities. Just throwing that out there.
You mentioned the event is at the bar.
Yeah, Thirsties downtown.
So is it 21 only?
No, I'm gonna go legally.
It's more of a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like you can order food and stuff, so it's not like just a straight bar scene.
Yeah, we're not floating. Anyway, so anyway, we should do that.
Yeah, Senator Dolly.
I would like to point out that we beat Aaron Campbell's team last year, and his team name was Suck It Rosie.
Senator McBride.
I have a question on the Rush game. Is that discount just for senators, or is it for the whole student body?
No, it's student body. So, and $10 is actually pretty good. Their tickets are pretty spendy, so, and for my idea, it's not like they're gonna set us up in the rafters either, like, it's just like, that's good.
So back to McBride.
Yeah, so 2 things. One, how are you planning on publicizing that? Because I think you might be able to get a group. And that just kind of got me thinking, is there like a Minds Rush night at all, or is that something we could do? Like,
For my idea, they don't have a rush night or like a school of minds night at all or anything like that. And all their promo events are set like really far in advance, at least the whole season. But that's something I'm talking about if they want to do a school of minds night, because I think that would be really cool. And for advertising, I do have some posters down around campus. They actually got back to me on yesterday, which was not very cool of them. but I was gonna send out an email from the public relations email.
Senator McBride.
yeah, even if we could just do something like, not even if they're not sponsoring it, just as if they have a discount and we try to just hype up one night of the season, might be a nice event to put it together.
And last thing is, I'm still waiting on that list from the foundation so we can send out thank you letters to businesses that support us, because they need to know we appreciate them. And report.
Cool. Questions on PR? Going once, going twice. If not, we'll move on to the next one, which is Constitution.
Cool. Alright, so you saw the 3 presentations today. Thank you guys for being respectful and asking somewhat relevant questions most of the time. Just kidding. Anyway, let's see here. Round 2 should be coming next week. I've been receiving more emails since I sent out opinions last week. So I'm just waiting on that. Trying to get all the orgs most time that I can, but we're going to be cracking down here. I want to get this done before November, at least, on the table before November. Yeah, and that's about it. Any questions?
Constitution questions, discussion? Going once, going twice. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next thing, which is student affairs report.
Okay, so we're gonna do Spirit Friday, so sign up, like my sheet, so we're gonna give out shirts, play a game, and like just ask them if people come up, be like, do you have any questions for senators and stuff like that. Still looking for the banner. We will find it one of these days. I already talked about it, was on the comment board, but we'll put a new question up for that, for Spirit Friday. And then you saw the pay it forward resolution which we've been working on. So I'll talk about the senior class gift, talk to people about that, and then I'm waiting to talk to him before he gets back to talk to him about scholarship committee, because he's on scholarship committee. That's all.
Cool. Questions for student affairs? Questions or discussion? And this Spirit Friday sheet is going around that way. Okay, if not, we'll move on to the campus / ad hoc committees. Senator Truman.
Okay, so I heard back from the ADA ad hoc committee. First of all, Amanda Lopez is the contact for that since she's the ADA Title IX coordinator. We discussed different accessibility issues and issues with the testing center on campus since ADA is beyond just the classroom setting. A couple of things that we've identified. If you see any more, let me know or let her know so that we can try to take care of them. The curb that was brought up a couple weeks ago or last week, the stage in the ballroom, there's only one level in the library that's accessible for the bathroom. The music building's pretty difficult to be accessible as well, and then just different certain issues with the testing center and noise and space is really limited there. So they're planning a full committee meeting later this semester. They typically only meet once a semester, so watch for more details on that. Senator Veit and I will let you know since we're on that committee. And then in the spring, they have the Catch the Wave event. It's an event in April for high school students that have disabilities and 504 plans so that they can learn more about accessibility in higher education. So they hear from faculty, staff, students on campus. So I'll be asking for volunteers next semester for that event. I know it's in April, so it's kind of around transition time. But I'll still ask for volunteers. They travel to like DSU and BH, or maybe it's Western Tech, BH, and here, so they get to see different perspectives. But again, contact me if you have anything that you'd like brought up to the ADA committee, or Amanda, regarding the ADA accessibility or testing center stuff. But that meeting will be happening later this semester. They haven't planned it yet, so we don't know what it is. Any questions?
Questions or comments for Ellen? Okay, other ad hoc or campus committees? Okay, if not, we'll go on to the upcoming Senate business. First one I have on there is Spirit Friday. That sheet is still being passed around, doing the fun stuff. Other upcoming Senate business, I only have one thing on there for this week. Senator Emery.
I just have a quick question. People can sit in like on the meetings, right?
This meeting, yeah.
Okay, we should probably try to like advertise that more maybe, because I'm sure people have questions, but they're like, it would just be easier to like address it like in a meeting, but if they don't know that they can be here. Cause I feel like it would be really easy if they would just like ask us straight up like what their question was instead of having to like locate us in office hours or do all these other things. This is like a suggestion for more transparency.
Okay.
Just
I'm honest, I went closer.
okay. Senator Vasquez.
I'll put that at the bottom. I wouldn't hurt you to have that right there too.
That's the point, yeah. Go ahead, advertise. Senator Blau.
I know for a while there was like the thought of like a monthly open forum or something along those lines. Is that something that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Senator Dolly.
I kind of got with the, student fairs that come out with the Not Gonna Anywhere. Student fairs that come out with the Not Gonna Anywhere, pay it forward thing, but we're working on it. It's in the works.
Good point. Other comments? Comments about upcoming Senate business? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the announcements.
So when we came into this room, it was not set up like this. So if we could get help putting it back, that would be awesome. Straight lines across the room.
How many rows?
I believe 3, and we will have to pull some tables out of there. So I need boys to stay around.
Any other announcements coming up? Other announcements? Senator Marshall.
So, in the spirit of Christmas and Oprah Winfrey, look under your chairs. I feel like, no, they all lost. That side of the room lost for all of them leaving. This side wins. Pretend. Keep them secret. Keep them secret.
So, Senator Marshall, this is who we are purchasing for? Or
Yes, who you're purchasing for. Keep it secret. Hide it from them.
What if I got my own name?
I like this way of it.
Senator McBride.
Move to adjourn.
Senator McBride is ready. Vicky has a question first.
What's the budget?
$15.
Okay.
15.
Okay, other questions on Secret Santa? Other questions on Secret Santa? If not, Senator McBride makes a motion to adjourn the meeting. Seconded, I believe, by Senator Vasquez. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All those who abstain? All those opposed? Same sign. Excellent, meeting adjourned.